here to tell us more about Phragmites and these invasive species as well as the dangers that they can cause. From WB Parks, we have naturalist Lauren Azoury. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We have a lot to talk about when it comes to these Phragmites. It's an interesting word in general. Can you just tell us more about what Phragmites and knotweeds are in general?
Yeah, so they're one of many invasive species. So I normally get to come on here and talk about really exciting, fun things. Unfortunately, this is, invasive species is kind of more of a gloom and doom kind of conversation. But the good thing is there are things we can do to mitigate and to get rid of them and to put new, better plants in. So all invasive species basically means is that it is coming from another part of the world. It is not native to our area. And oftentimes what happens with invasive species, they can take over. So they will be a monoculture, it's called. So that means just that one plant is the only thing that grows there. And just think about that from an ecological standpoint, that's not good. You want a variety. All different plants, animals need all different things. So if something's going to take over a space, it's not good. The other thing is things like Phragmites can actually change the pH of the water, which means that it can change what can live there. So if Phragmites is too abundant in an area and continues to take over lakesides, frogs will move out. Things like that can't live there because it's changed the acidity, the pH of the water. So not only does it just take over, it can change the whole environment and ecology and change what species it can support.
Sheesh. Oh man, that's a lot.
I told you, gloom and doom.
yeah, yeah, that's a lot more. It was a lot more damage than I thought it really would do and contribute. And thanks, Phragmites. Thank you for correcting me on that also. So let's get into maybe the goals of the campaign. Is the goal for us to eventually essentially just look for them and just pull them out with our hands, or how does that work?
So it is a plant taller than you or I. It's over 8 feet tall. It's got a big feathery tall plume on top. And the roots that it has actually go just as deep. So the roots are 8 feet deep as well. So there's not much hand pulling, unfortunately, for the most part. Mowing can, if you do it at the wrong time of year, can spread the seeds. So you don't want to do that because that makes it grow more. So it's really important that those that want to treat Phragmites know kind of the life cycle of the plant and when and how to do it. And then OC SISMA, which is the Oakland County Cooperative Invasive Species Management Area, which WB Parks is a member of, works really closely with the Road Commission, because the other bad things about Phragmites is that it can block views of roadways. It does tend to grow in ditches and areas where moisture is at and water collects. So roadsides is a big area for that. So OC SISMA and the Road Commission have partnered together to treat Phragmites along roadsides because of the damage to the earth, but also the potential of blocking road right-of-ways and visibility on the roads.
Good point. Yeah.
So that's where part of this campaign that you're mentioning is come from. So they work together to provide funding, and another big part of this is education. So we got to teach people. They got to know what we're dealing with here.
Yeah, and great point. I'm glad you said education because I have a question to ask. But joining us right here on the Splash Live to talk about Phragmites, knotweeds, and invasive species and plants, we have from WB Parks Naturalist Lauren Azoury. Thank you for being here. And I want to talk about is there a permanent solution? Like, what is the actual challenge between controlling these? Like, why is it not or pull them from the weeds or do whatever we have to do and it's over from there?
Being an invasive species makes it strong. Like it can really, really, really thrive here because there's nothing that naturally gets rid of it. If we have, for instance, cattails are not an invasive species. They're great for the environment. They grow by the water, provide lots of great habitat and food sources for all of our aquatic animals. But muskrats eat them. Muskrats live here. Cattails are from here. So they have this relationship where they can help control it. Unfortunately, in nature, when we have an invasive species, nothing here, none of our species, even the deer who eat many things, will not eat it because they don't recognize it biologically. It's not something they've ever evolved with in our area, in North America. It came over from Europe. So in Europe, Phragmites is not a problem. They have animals there that control it. They have natural weather there that controls it. But here, because there's no natural things to control it, we really need to try to eradicate it or keep it at bay on our own. And unfortunately, one of the most effective ways to do that is using herbicide. So if you live in a lake association, you would want to get a contractor that has the correct permits to apply that kind of thing in the water. And it's a yearly process. It doesn't just happen once and you're done. Oftentimes it takes 3 to 4 years to hopefully get rid of a patch of it.
Right, right. Okay, good. And that's why we're glad we have you here to explain that. But let's just get to the point. In the instance that we don't have you at our fingertips, Lauren, or some type of naturalist or specialist, what other steps are being taken to educate the public in our community about the importance of managing these invasive plants?
Yeah, we definitely try to provide plenty of outreach programming, and so does Oakland County SISMA as well. So if it's a new species, like Phragmities, we've been battling for, I don't even know how many years, but years and years and years. If there's a new species that we can get a hold of and know that it's starting here, but we could stop it before it gets worse, like Phragmities has, a lot of effort is focused on outreach for species like that. So they'll put door hangers on people's doors if we notice it in their yards or by their lakes, so that they know what it is. Sometimes invasive species have a pretty flower and people think, oh, this is beautiful, I'm gonna keep it, I'm gonna just let it grow here. And they don't realize all these ill effects that it can really cause. So some of those outreach efforts are helpful. We definitely, on our social media at WB Parks Facebook page and Instagram, we post different things about it as well. But OC SISMA is a great resource, and their website has species profiles for each of these invasive species, including knotweed, Phragmites, purple loosestrife, all of them. And so it's usually just a one quick page you can look up, and it's got an easy way to identify those invasive species, which ones they are and what they look like, as well as ways to treat them. And there's different levels of treatment. So if you have a small patch, the species sheet should tell you how to handle it on your own. And if you have a very large patch, it'll give you suggested contractors to contact to do that. So there's different levels that it will help you learn what you can do on your own or when you need to call for help.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Okay, before we wrap up, I have to ask my one stupid question, I guess. This is from my personal brain. I would think everything in nature has a purpose, right? So are there any benefits, or do these plants do any good for nature or for anything whatsoever?
No.
Oh, wow.
So I can even make a case, I can plead a case for native wasps, even though they sting and people hate them.
Right.
I can't plead a case for anything that's not native from here because it doesn't really give us ecological value. So what has happened is humans have intervened. They brought them over in ships for cargo hold, or they thought that would be a good food source. Like a lot of invasive species have been brought over here purposefully without realizing the repercussions years and years ago.
Right.
Or one silly thing that we do is that we might have it in our boots or in our mowers. So what the Road Commission has been doing is that they will clean their mowers off. So they actually will wipe their blades now when they mow an area with Phragmites and then move on to another area, because they, in the long run, without me knowing it, could have been spreading that. Same with you and your neighbors, right? So yeah, unfortunately, Kevin, I always like to look on the bright side. Normally, you know that I am like an optimist. But with invasives, there is no ecological value if they're not from that area. If you want to go to Europe and check out the Phragmites there, I'm sure it's got lots of value, but here, unfortunately, it does not.
I just knew you were going to say yes, but I'm so glad you were honest and told us, no, these don't really even belong here. They're not native here. And when you say that, it makes a lot of sense. I want to thank you so much again for joining us and giving us your information. Once again, from WB Parks Naturalist, we have Lauren Azoury talking about these invasive species, knotweeds and Phragmites. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.